VW, our largest, the largest VW in the world, sits in Weston. But it starts with Rick and Rita over 55 years ago, and it has to do with the culture that you develop within the organization. That has not changed in over 55 years, and that culture was simply in a statement: make your customers your best friends. And if you do that, every one of the people within those teams, as I said before, all those different disciplines, have that same attitude, have that same philosophy to make your customer your best friend. And with that, we have developed what's called a VIP program. Not that all customers are not VIPs when they come into a dealership, but the program extended out to the community. And part of our culture is that we have to give back to the community, not just philanthropically, but back to the community who has us exist. What our base is our community, are our customers. And we want to give back to them as they give back to us. So we've developed programs where we go into organizations and corporations. We build a website for those that we select, a website for them, for ADP within Rick Case Automotive Group, where all their employees can go in and see the rewards and the benefits that we develop for them, the discounts and specials that we develop for them. We give referral fees back to friends and family that refer other friends and family. We have a registration program which puts them in where they accumulate. You know, it's an old thing, the point accumulation, like the airlines used to do. We 55 years. You buy something, we give you points which have dollar value. Over time, that just kind of compounds itself day after day after day, to the point where that, combined with the philanthropy that we do through the organization, we actually get customers that come in that say, I want to buy a Rick Case automobile because of what you do for the community. That is probably the strongest accolade that you can get, that they're willing to patronize and be loyal to a company just because of what you do in the community.
Well, on a personal note, my husband and I are, well, through Merchant Processing Solutions, we belong to the Western Chamber, which, you know, we are now through the Chamber VIP members. And I have old cars, and eventually I'm going to have to change them. And my husband says, well, I get a free car wash there every week. I go, and you know what he's doing? Every time he washes a car, he leaves the car for a few minutes and browses all the new cars. And I'm like, I know we're going to be buying a Rick Case Honda car soon. So, congratulations. It's a great way to engage the community and keep growing and wowing the customers. And so, go ahead.
We also do one other thing that I think other organizations should do, especially those that are remotely placed. And the commissioner said it a while ago. We have community centers that we build inside our dealerships. All our dealerships have a large community center where the Western Chamber meets on the third Tuesday of every month. We allow organizations to come in and use those community centers rather than go out and have to rent a hall or rent a space or a building for hundreds of thousands of dollars. We allow them to use a community center. Those community centers are also a part of outreach, which we let the communities come into these dealerships. And it has a double-ended value. You're coming into a dealership. By the time you walk out, somebody's going to engage you on what kind of car you're driving, or if you'd like to drive a Rick Case car. But the benefit there is that somebody can come in and make an appointment for a Saturday afternoon for a Boy Scout troop or a Girl Scout troop or a nonprofit organization or a homeowners association to come in and utilize those facilities. No charge. Grants.
Thank you very much, Stan. So let me ask you, I was in sales, and you know, it really, if you don't have your customers, there's no gasoline going into the boat, it's not driving the boat, and nobody's going anywhere without sales. So
I try to tell everyone that.
Yeah, exactly. Without sales, you're nobody. You know, we should be, you know, salespeople should be making the most money in the world. But there, that's another story. That would be another panel. So what I was going to ask you is, how do you keep your customers? How do you engage? How do you reward them being in the sales? And how do you get them to, you know, you wow them and they love you so much you create a raving fan? That's what.
Sure. So, and it's crucial. I mean, not to get too much into sales, but you know, sales is changing too, generationally. You know, cold calls or knocking on people's doors, like now, and it's more on relationships now. And the best relationship that you could ever form is through a current customer. You got our number one focus, first of all, is in our approach to be as genuine as possible. We don't ever have ourselves first or try to think of whatever product we're trying to sell them. We really just want to make sure we understand them, understand their needs, build a relationship, build a rapport, and understand this, this may be, at this point in time, they may not be ready, and that's completely fine. Just treating someone the way that you want to be treated in any sales transaction, and then really building that relationship, always taking care of them. Different scenarios, you could, a salesperson could position something, and then they say they get the new car. Does that salesperson follow up? How's the car? How's it going? So there's a constant relationship you want to build there. You want to do a good job, just as a person. You don't have to want to do that. And then secondly, word of mouth and client referrals is the best. It's the percentage-wise the highest closing and the best way to approach how to grow your business. You can literally grow your business through just creating a web of client referrals and never really having to do anything else.
So let me ask you one question, one important piece. You can want all that, you can be the greatest salesperson, give the great customer service, but how do you get them to engage back? Do you ask them to like you on Facebook? What is it that you do as a company to get your people to become a raving fan that they're going, hey, you gotta talk to him, hey, you gotta talk to him? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Is there anything specifically that your company does?
Well,
You do?
there's the number one language is called money.
Oh.
So we pay them, actually. No, we give, there's $8,500 in credits they can get annually for their support. But we also have client focus groups that if you refer us, you're able to take part in those and lead those. We also, as we release new products, we have pilots. So certain clients can try for free. So if you're a promoter, we call them, we have a promoter similar to VIP. If you're a promoter, you get to partake in the free pilot. So there's a lot of incentives as far as product and cost go.
Excellent.
The world is changing very rapidly, and I go back to Brian again. He talked about AI, artificial intelligence, and sales organizations now are going to have to go that route. The days of email blasts and cold calling and BDCs calling off customer lists of the past, utilizing the referral. 86% of customers now do their shopping or their research for an automobile online. That's a big number. When they come in, they're savvy. They come into an organization to buy a product, whether it's an automobile, a refrigerator, whatever it is. They know what they want. They're probably smarter in many cases than the salesperson is. So they yin yang of sales and service. We have a saying that sales delivers a car and service sells a second car. That's a hard fact. So the personalization and digital personalization is coming on real strong right now. And that personalization, I mentioned before about those various disciplines, what it simply says to me is you need to know what he or she, the customer, wants before they do. You see all these cars now with the technology, with the lights in the rear view, in the mirrors, in the rear view mirror, and the side mirrors. You get too close to the curb, or it makes a noise, or it actually keeps you. I drive a Genesis. You can take your hands off the wheel and it'll go up 1.5 miles before it says, get your hands back in the wheel. And it'll slow you down until you do that. The intelligence in those vehicles now didn't come from the smart people that are manufacturing the automobiles. It came from customer feedback. So the personal relationship that you have with customers is going to be very, very important. Knowing what they want before you actually can, bring them in to look at a car, service a car, and then expect that referral or them to pop up in the computer a few months later or a year later when they return on a lease or it comes time for a new automobile to pick up the phone and call it. Competition is getting very, 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 very strong right now, and you've got to have that. Personalization going for you in an organization, or you're not going to be competitive. You're just going to go to the side.
Thank you, Stan. Jackie, you're a small business, and obviously, one Angie's List critique or Craigslist or just a bad word about your company can really hurt. How do you create raving fans, and how do you avoid those negative comments towards your company? Because like I said, they can be very destructive for a very small company.
Luckily, we haven't had them yet. We have very good reviews on Google, not only from our customers, from our staff and our employees. One way, once that we like to, how do you say, keep a relationship with our customers. We always make sure that we're following up. We make sure that our supervisors are on top of what the customers' needs are. We engage with them. We go meet with them and invite them to lunch. Get to know what the customer likes to do. We have customers that we gift them at the end of the year, you know, for giving us a contract for a year and continuing service because they're happy with the service. Football games, we give our clients tickets. We're club members, so we give up our club seats to our clients at the construction company or at the W Hotel. We invite them to dinner. We do concerts, invite them to concerts. But it's just finding out what they like. Does your customer like to go play golf? Because you need to build those relationships with your customers. And once you build those relationships with your customers, then hopefully it'll continue to grow. You can continue to do business for longer.
Thank you, Jackie. So, Robert, I'm going to shift a little bit. You said that you do business all over the world, and I would assume that you do business with people that are part of different companies.
Sure.
So those are kind of like the vendors, the people that you know. What I'd like you to talk about is how do you create a team of your vendors, the people that supply the Port Everglades. How do you get them to be raving fans to say, listen, don't go to Miami, don't go to West Palm, go to Port Everglades because these guys are terrific.
Yeah, it's a delicate dance. The way the port operates, we're a landlord port. Your service or your employees, our service, when service is your commodity, it's very difficult to quantify if you're doing well or if you're doing bad versus if you're selling an iPhone, immediately you get feedback from your customer. If you're selling in case of cars, you know, you've got a product that you get feedback. For us to create those raving fans, if you will, we have to have first and foremost shipments. You've got a ship that's coming in from Asia, or I'll say Colombia. Otherwise, Jacqueline won't have you back. The only way you can handle that ship is if you've got dock space, if that ship line has an agent that serves them. We don't get involved. It's very tricky for us because we don't get involved in the service aspect of moving the cargo from A to B. But when cargo doesn't move from A to B, the customer will not say, well, the ship line did not get my container to me on time. They'll say, whatever links didn't get shipped to me on time. So we have to go and find out, well, listen, educate them first. We don't actually move the cargo for you. We provide the infrastructure in by which your contracted carrier is the one that moves the cargo. So for us to keep that raving fan raving is by engaging them, not only engaging them, we have to constantly engage not only our customers, but the customers of our customers and the customers of those customers. We have to go through a 3-tier track, and sometimes we even deal with countries, those countries, business flowing through the port. So in engaging them, finding out what their infrastructure needs and what, in my case in particular, I've been with it for 5 years, but my background is in international transport ocean carriers. We're pretty forward in this thing. So, and knowing what the marketplace needs puts me in a very privileged position, if you will. They're tough sometimes, because people say, you should know what's going on. So, we have to find out what the hiccups are to moving that piece of cargo from A to B in order to give them an answer. And 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times, we do not get home. This is what's going on, but you have to know what's going on to keep them engaged. And yeah, social media plays a part. Follow Everglades on Facebook and LinkedIn. And you know, different activities that we all do. I personally play the rock band on the weekends, so I get people who come out and see the band, and 9 times out of 10, customers come out and see the band, and that, you know, just kind of keeps you engaged, and you know.
So were you playing this? Were you playing this weekend?
Here's my shameless plug. We play classic rock, and this Saturday we're playing at Cadillac Ranch down in Kendall from 8 to 10. Come on by. Don't bring tomatoes.
I'll bring security.
I've got 3 guys bringing tomatoes. We need lettuce, we need carrots to throw at us. They make salad by the end of the night.
Very good. So I wanted to go back and talk about, so we've kind of touched on through this panel, what it takes, different aspects and views depending on the size of how you create a team internally. How do you create your internal team for your business? And you have to make those decisions on what is the goal and the vision. Then secondly, we talked about your raving fans, which are your customers. They also should be your employees and of course your vendors. But I specifically want to talk, and now that Robert's kind of talked to us about how he interacts with the vendors and tries to explain his role, I'd like to ask a couple of questions about vendors. You know, if I want to be special, so see, here's what I used to do. I used to say, you do accounting and I do merchant services. Now your people need my service and my people need your service. So let's kind of refer one another. Let's become vendor partners. And that really worked out well for me. And then I grew it to people who do websites. And so my question is as you're developing your business, what vendors have been very helpful to you, and what kind of vendors do you engage in case to be kind of your ambassadors and your partners?
This goes back to that culture that I mentioned before. Our vendors are part of our team. They're part of the team building that we do. So if we've got ADP, which we do,
We're partners.
we're partners. They are part of the team, so they are integrating and working with the accounting group, with the CFO. Our folks may have some ideas that will make our systems and processes more efficient, more effective. Hand them off to ADP, they've got the process, they've got the CRMs, they've got all that to build that, and together and jointly come up with a more efficient and effective system, which is actually going on right now. We have our centralizer, we did our consolidation, working right now with ADP to make our processes, and again, you can imagine 16
We didn't know that, by the way, coming in here. We did not know there was this already synergy going on. So this is a perfect example of actually synergy that I'm asking you all to consider as you create your business or as you are in your business, okay? So,
If I just to add to, like, so the idea, right, so as you expand what your network, the whole idea is how can I make the biggest value to my clients and employees as possible. So the more people I get into this circle, so if we added the insurance brokers, right, we added attorneys, legal, like accounting, as many people, partners as we can bring in, one customer jointly is the bigger impact that we can make on them.
gee, didn't we just hear this morning in the future of business? So are you hearing a theme, folks? You're not an island. You're not. You might be an island, but there's a whole bunch of islands around you, and you need to build bridges to those islands in order to be successful. Thank you. Robert, I know you said you went out and talked to the people, but what?
Well, engage customers. What I'm doing right now, I'll give you one piece of statistics. There was an article published about a month ago regarding exports from the United States. 97.5% of exports coming out of the United States are handled by small to medium-sized companies. It's over $1 trillion worth of goods and services.
Are you folks getting some of those
And
trillions?
the reason why I'm bringing that up is the commissioner touched on the special zones. The gentleman that's spoke before us, I'm sorry, your name escapes me.
Brian,
spoke about, small, medium-sized building, starting small, sitting in a cafe, and building $1 million company. Don't be discouraged by the big names. 97.5% of exports from the United States are handled by small to medium-sized companies. That's large, because that gives you, the entrepreneur, the encouragement to say, hey, I can. You don't have to be an IBM, you don't have to be a GM, you don't have to be an ADP. You can start small, and you can
you
actually
could be an indemnity security.
Yeah, and you can actually be part of what's going on. We engage the different chambers, because those are breeding grounds for small to medium-sized companies. And we're not alone. 98% of exports are done by small to medium-sized. Don't be discouraged by hearing large numbers. The small and medium-sized guy is the one that drives business.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, didn't I just read recently that 70% of all American companies have less than 50 employees? And so it means that the engine that is actually moving America in whatever direction we're going in, that's another debate, is small business. And it could be one person, it could be up to 50 people. And y'all have a chance if you find out how to do business with Case or ADP or Port Everglades.
And then get out there.
Yeah.
Be engaged. You mentioned Island Bridges, very well put. Go out there and become involved and come to these types of meetings. Educate yourself as to what's going on. It'll pay dividends, and not in years and decades, but relatively quick. As long as you have a product, obviously, that is needed and will suit a purpose, and there's a niche, and there are niches out there. But yeah, be encouraged by those statistics and go out there and try and do it. And you can.
Jackie, how do you create, with all teams, this is a general, win-win?
By building a dream team, by collaborating, being on the same mind frame, being on the same page, working together.
How do you feel about the term pay forward?
We do it all the time.
Okay.
We do it all the time. We have a vendor that we're partners with called Nextel Radio. We started off with them just renting radios. Because for security, we have a lot of galas or special detail work that requires to have that communication. So we built that relationship with them from there, and then now we just became partners with Nextel. And we help each other out, so there's times where they're out networking or meeting other people, and they refer us, because they're all partners with Indemnity Security, and we provide their radio, radio service for them, and then vice versa. And like I mentioned before, the freight forwarding aspect, we still offer security in that industry, and we offer, we help move that product as well for them and us as a partner, so it benefits both parties, and we're both vendors and we've built that relationship. It takes time to build a relationship, and not everybody that you're going to meet is going to be the right person for you. So a lot of patience and being honest and taking the time and having that relationship with your vendors.
Thank you, Jackie. Stan, could you talk to us about how I know you've mentioned it a lot, and I see it all the time because I'm in your case with several different events, and I know you. But again, how do you create that? Let me ask you again, how do you create win-win specifically with your employees? Because you know that the employee turnaround can be, they make $1 million over here and they're gone to another company. But I don't see that. I think you've had long-term staff, and how do you keep that win-win with your staff?
As you can expect, car dealerships probably have the lowest retention of any business. We pride ourselves in having one of the highest retention. We have salespeople making over $300,000 a year. Our average salesperson's making $30,000, $40,000 a year. They come from all walks of lives. We take them out of the military. We have doctors and lawyers who are retired that now do it as a hobby, doing very well at it. But that win-win situation is that you've got to let them be entrepreneurial. They're coming to work, you give them the house, you give them the desk, you give them the phone, you give them a database, you give them the walk-in traffic that's coming in, a percentage of that. But then you have to help them and teach them the culture through that team building we talked about, and then allow them to build their business. And it'll take about 90 to 120 days for them to do that. One other thing that we push, as I am on many nonprofit boards, we have the Boys and Girls Club, the Prestige Club, which helps children in need. I'm one of the founders of Honor Flight South Florida. We fly the veterans to Washington. We do that 4 times a year. As a former military officer, I've been doing that since I was a little kid, giving back. We help and we invigorate our salespeople and our administrative staff to get back, pay for it, as you say, to get involved with those nonprofit organizations. Believe it or not, that compounds faster than somebody's sales will compound because of the network that you build. Through those organizations, through the chambers of commerce in your area, we belong to every chamber that's in our demographic. We don't go outside. We're not part of the chamber of Boca Raton. We're not established there, but we are solid in those areas that we are. And we work with the chamber that represents from the state level all the way down to the community. In those small and larger businesses, doesn't matter what size you are, helping each other expand and help make healthy their business.
Joseph, could you please tell our audience how you feel that you create a win-win situation with your employees, with your staff?
So, I just think it's important that as you join together, that you have a goal or a dream or whatever really, a vision, whatever you're really trying to accomplish. In our particular business, we have sales goals, right? So, you really got to get a mutual understanding of what that is. Also get an understanding of what that individual employee wants. They all have different drivers, so you can't manage everyone the same way. You have to manage everyone uniquely, trying to understand, okay, what is this? Now that we have the dream, why is this? What's their why? Everyone wakes up with a why, right? So really understanding their why, understanding what they want to accomplish, making sure that they understand that they are part of the team, that they are going to be held accountable. But really, there's a term now as leadership has changed, it's called servant leadership. Leadership's not, okay, let me sit down and be your boss and tell you what to do and tell you this and yell at you and all that. No, it's how can I help you? What are you working on? How are you feeling? What can I do? How can I help you, right? So that's how you create the win-win. Because if you get them bought into a vision, working hard, engaged, and feeling good, you get 12 people on your team feeling that way and winning, you win, right? Like we're just the sum of the results of the people that work for us. So we win by if everyone wins, the leader wins, and that's really what the philosophy should be.
Well, about 10 years ago, I was asked, because our manager left, and that was fine with me. I didn't really like her that much. Because it was about her, and it was about her numbers and about what she wanted, and it was never what we wanted. And I remember they coming to me and they said, so what trait do you want in a manager? And then I said, all I want them to say is, how high? I'm like, how high? Yeah, I want to go to my manager and jump, and she says, how high? Because I only go to a manager when I need something. I need you. I need you to help me. So when I say, please help me, you just say, how high? What do you need? And they were like, well, that's forever. But today, that has now taken, and successful businesses and winning teams, the leadership has realized that they have to be of that servant nature for their employees.
Well, and they'll jump high for you too, right? So they go to you, and you jump high for them, and you can ask them, and they'll do the same thing. So
yeah, nobody cares about you until they know you care about them.
Yeah, right.
Robert, again, win-win scenario for you is
Yeah, very, very similar to what's been said so far.
excellent.
Just making sure that, you bring in our space, you bring in people that already know what they need to do. sense of motivate. So you have to know that you first brought in people that know what they're doing. And that in of itself solves a lot of problems. And just by being there and providing yourself or making yourself available to when they need answers and when they need assistance and when they need support, that in and of itself provides pretty much a win-win.
Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to open it up for a couple of minutes of questions. You've learned a lot here. They've imparted a lot of information. Please stand up, and just say your name, please. And
Rose, and first of all, thank you for being part of this. Specifically, we talked about team building, which is very important, but how do you retain those good employees?
good question.
Like with shackles.
Shackles, okay, that means,
I'm sorry. Just making sure that person is motivated. So you come to work because you have to, obviously, but it's good to know that that person feels that they are motivated to come to work and they believe in the product. I think that's, I dare I speak for anyone, but the person that's in a situation the person you employ has to believe in what they're selling, especially if it's a service. A product almost sells itself, or it does not sell itself. A service is a non-entity almost, it's not a tangible thing. So that person has to have a belief in what the company is offering to the buying public in general. And with that, I think you're going to have competition. In the port, in Florida alone, there's 14 pools.
there's 40? 14
Everyone
ports.
thinks Miami, for whatever reason, there's 14 pools in Florida. So that's potential competition for any given one of them. The large ones take all the headlines and become common knowledge, or Fort Everglades, Miami, Jacksonville, are the main ones. But people that work in our space are knowledgeable in several aspects of the logistics supply chain. So you're constantly being measured or compared to or being solicited by any one of these people. So having that desire and that passion for what you're selling, and selling almost sounds cliche. What you're offering, I think keeps the employee at home, if you will.
And just to add on real quick about retention, understanding again, not to keep talking about generation, but generational changes are very, very important. So we actually help companies solve this issue, and we do a lot of research into what are the top 4 things that Gen X versus versus millennials, their job expectations. So Gen X is always like salary, commission, money. Salary for a millennial is 4th on the list of things they expect at work. 1 is they expect growth. 2 is they expect life-work balance. 3, they want better benefits. And then 4 is salary. So what does that mean? If you wanted to retain a particular employee, just offering them more money now is not going to work. Showing them progression, showing them succession planning, showing them a future, put stretch assignments. Some companies are abolishing PTO now, where PTO is not like, you want to take off, you want to feel better, go feel better. So again, man your direct leader. How would, so those are all things that it's not money anymore. And then Gen Y has a different list, and then Gen Z is going to have a different list. So it's
And then us baby boomers, completely different list.
yes, yes.
And to build on what you're saying, one of the facts of life that touch every single thing that we do is trucking. The trucking industry in the United States is going through a horrendous employee crunch right now. And it goes back to what he said. The average salary of a trucker in the United States is $85,000. Yet the industry is having problems retaining employees. They're putting programs out there. There's a couple of trucking companies that are even offering college tuition to the sons of the truckers to keep them engaged. And it all goes back to the trucker is spending a lot of time away. By the nature of what you're doing, you're spending a lot of time away from your family. And it's just a job that most people just do not want to do anymore. And it's creating a problem in our industry. And I think it's starting to affect the price of what you're paying. Because trucking, delivering goods is becoming more and more expensive, and that the cost of moving that product has to be reflected or is passed on to the consumer. But again, going back to what just been said, that balance of what you want, what you don't want out of life, and salary becomes almost secondary, if not third or fourth.
There's nothing worse than being an associate, an employee within an organization and getting stuck. Especially for someone coming out of school and going with a company whose aspirations are to move through and go through that company. We do a majority of our hiring internally. So if you came in as a salesman or a technician, you have the opportunity to be a general manager of a dealership. And the way we do that is we have mentors. We have those let's say of age that have some experience of years under their belt that are able to take the folks coming in and mentor them and bring them up in those levels. Cross-training for us is huge. If you're a salesperson, you gotta be a service person. If you're service, you gotta be sales. If you wanna be sales and you wanna move up, you gotta have accounting. You have to have finance under your belt. Those teams, within that team building, is cross-training blended with some synergy created amongst all those disciplines that I mentioned. And that's why our retention is going up, has gone up single digits over the past few years, and now we're heading to double-digit retention, which is unheard of in our industry.
We have a new question, and while they can, you got the mic already?
Yes, I
Can
do.
I just add one thing to that? I was just gonna say that on my preparation for the panel, I was looking at something that said, when you hire, the most important thing is to know what their vision is, how they see their future, how their workday works, what they're expecting to be in 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, and empowering them to get there. So those were 5 things that I had heard that would help someone who wants to know about how do you keep a good employee. Sir, please go ahead and ask.
Hi, my name is Casey Merchant, and today I'm representing Matrix Energy, and I want to first thank Unilatina International College for putting on such a spirited event. Thank you. And thanks to our panelists for really inspiring us and giving us strategies how to grow our own company. But what I want to ask is, how do you share the success on team building? What are some of the strategies that you do? Whereas on a team you might have someone who is in a higher position and someone who is in a lower position. How do you ensure that a team really benefit from the successes that you are setting?
Well, for us, we have what's called MOTOR, M-O-T-O-R, instead of Motivations. We have a monthly magazine that goes through all our dealerships. Well, we post their birthdays, we post their anniversaries, we post testimonials from customers who have had an experience with the service or sales or even administrative or corporate. We post those. It's about 15, 16 pages long, but we do that every month, and every employee gets that as hard copy, and they also get it through their email or going through our CRM for HR, where they're able to read that. So we do that, and then every month we have a luncheon. All our employees eat. We give them a buffet luncheon where they can all eat. And then every year, we don't do the standard holiday party anymore. We do a after-year party where we bring all our dealerships in, and we recognize all our employees for what they've done throughout the year.
And if you're gonna talk maybe like team specific, so at any point in time, as a sales leader, I have people that are doing exceptionally well, and I have people that are not. And we're all on one team. So what the balance could look like is that you could lose the one that's not doing well for that particular time, you can lose them forever. So it's really just understanding when you're hiring people, the culture that you expect. We're a very family culture. We look after each other. We do celebrate successes of everybody, but only to teach the ones that are maybe not doing so well a new idea or a new strategy. And then when they win and they pick that strategy up, we celebrate that. So we all pick each other up. But it's good. The psychology of it now is group settings, group success, group recognition, but really leaving no person behind. Just giving them more ideas and more energy to get them better.
Jackie? Same for us, we make sure that we acknowledge our employees. We have a monthly newsletter, we have employees of the month. We reward them with either a bonus or we reward them with a gift card, and let them know what they're doing. And we share that with the whole company so everybody sees that email, so everybody gets motivated to do better and do more so they can get that acknowledgement.
Well, at this moment, we have run out of time. I want to please give a round of applause to our wonderful staff. So, thank you, and I would like to say that the panel will be up here for a few more minutes. Hopefully everyone will be around for the rest of the day, and feel free to use this time. We have a break right now, if I understand correctly. Oh, I